Hi, my name is Dominique. I'm with Youth Parks and Community Enrichment, also known as YIPSY, and you're chilling with SacVibes.
Welcome to SacVibes. We are the community engagement team, and we're here to educate, engage, and empower. I'm your host for today, Danielle.
And I'm your co-host, Lynette.
And we have Greg behind the board. But as we've announced before, it's kind of budget crunch time, so we only have 4 mics. So just trust that he's back there.
He's back there.
But yeah, welcome for today. So I know it's Wednesday today, Lynette, so I just wanted to ask, how was this week? How was council?
Council was council. So
yeah.
I will say that I did not stay for the whole council, but what really resonated with me was the the Disability Advisory Commission put forth their recommendations. And some of the things really stood out to me as it relates to just overall accessibility. One of the things that I heard from the public was it's not always clear how to provide a public comment. The process right now is at the back of the room. There are forms, but you probably need the agenda to identify what agenda number, and that's in the front of the room.
That's true.
So if you're someone with mobility issues, you'd have to already know that, and then you'd have to take the form from the back of the room and take it to the front of the room. So there were some very valid recommendations that I think we at Community Engagement can help with. Just really being mindful of font sizes and really helping to promote. I know that we always promote translation and interpreter services are available if requested 72 hours in advance. We should also be promoting that if folks are hard of hearing or need, some kind of hearing device or additional support, we should also be addressing that and promoting that as well. There were conversations around accessibility as it relates to Golden One, and the city kind of expressed some of the challenges with both the requirements from the Kings as it relates to where folks can be dropped off, and then the rules that Homeland Security plays. And so I learned a lot. I never thought that Homeland Security was involved in NBA games, but they are. And so it's important just to understand what the rules and regulations are and who's responsible for them. And so the city, has been trying to be more proactive about working with the Kings and Golden One to try to figure out a solution that would make it more accessible for folks to be dropped off. So those were some of the key things from the council meeting. But I always say it's budget time. This evening, I will actually be participating in a city-sponsored and hosted meeting around the budget. So this meeting will be happening at the Pinnell Community Center. There'll be another one later this month. So
yes, and I believe 2 of those meetings have already taken place. So these are the last 2 opportunities for folks to come out in person to express their thoughts about the budget. So
you can always come to council, but we also thought it was important to make it more accessible out in the community, which is why they have been held out in the community in different areas of Sacramento. So
and I think that's good too, and bring it closer to folks who might not, be able to come to City Hall. So
and then lastly, we've had a viral moment. So I don't know if you've heard, but word on the street is one of our new initiatives have gone viral. So maybe we should bring the folks responsible for that.
Yes, so very excited to introduce y'all to these new folks. Actually, one of them is new, but one you might have seen beyond, on the other side of the camera. But we're really excited to introduce both of them as they've been super important to a lot of the work that we've been doing. I would like to call Ember and Taner to come up.
Hello. Hi
there. It's good to see you in front of the camera. We usually see you behind Greg in the background.
I was chilling in the background, waving at everyone, excited for this to come out, knowing what was to come, waiting behind the scenes. It's nice to see all of you.
I just wanted to thank you too, because sorry, spoiler alert, this is Ember, but I'm also going to let her introduce herself. She has been a huge creative force in us getting this vlog together. So huge thanks to her for helping us not make this look like, something I would have filmed in high school for my theater class.
The community engagement team is rich with creativity. And so you guys had a wonderful plan, and I was just happy that you guys let me add to it. So that was really wonderful. I will introduce myself. I am Ember DeBoer. I'm a local Sacramento artist. I grew up in Kansas City, and I moved here about 5 years ago. I've been lucky enough to be the resident artist for community engagement since about November. And so I'm here as an artist for the same reason Taner is here as an artist. Right. We're in different areas of the city. So maybe I'll let you also say hi and explain what part of the city you're from. This is my community engagement team, but you're a part of a really wonderful team that's in the city.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for having me today. And my name's Taner Pashamehmetoglu. I'm also a resident artist, but I'm with the Office of Climate Action and Sustainability. So just the floor below is where I'm working with my team. And just really excited to talk about all the great things we're doing as artists. There's 3 other wonderful artists in our cohort as well, and we're here through a grant program that lets us be here for a year and work with the city in different offices. And really, the goal is to just find ways to connect to the communities in ways that the city maybe hasn't thought of. And I love this role. I love that the city sees us as doers and creators and problem solvers, and sees art as more than just something for art is more than just something that's pretty to look at, right? It can solve problems, and artists can be part of that. So really happy to be here, and really happy to have the discussions we're having today.
So a little bit more about the program. So this was a grant, a City of Sacramento grant?
No, it was through the Creative Core. And Ember, you might know better than I the details of that.
Maybe, yeah. We're all learning as we go. So the way we understand it is it's a Creative Core initiative, and the City of Sacramento was one of the recipients of the grant money. So they, along a couple other organizations across California, were given money to stash artists to do different projects. Us specifically, we've been stashed in like a WPA-style Job Corps, and so that's an interesting element of what we do.
And we make sure that we explain acronyms. So yes, WPA please. Is what?
Ooh, you're quizzing me now. Work program.
So I just thought about the whole pie thing when people say acronyms.
I would feel bad if we threw a pie every time. Maybe we can find like a acronym. We're gonna start like throwing
throw a pie if you don't explain it. Okay, got it.
Well, because of budget time, we won't be able to throw a whole pie. We'll do a slice of pie.
It might even just be whipped cream. I don't know.
Wonderful. So can someone save me from getting pied?
Okay. So it's a paid program. Is this part-time? Is it full-time?
It's full-time, limited term with the city. So we started in November, and it will be going until about that same time this year, 2024. So yeah, we're super about halfway through getting there. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about the zine. So the viral moment of sorts is that ABC 10 was really wonderful and did an article on a zine that we as community engagement put out. I look forward to curating the next edition, where I asked Taner to collaborate with me on, because he's working with the Office of Sustainability, and April's a really wonderful month for sustainability in the earth. So the zine will continue going on. We'll put out one every single month, and each month we'll have a different theme that's really relevant to what's going on that month in the city. It will be a digital version. It operates like a link tree. So a really relevant link tree, like what is going on right now, what can you voice your opinion about, what grant opportunities are open, and just trying to give you a pipeline through all the other information that we get sent these days, like to what might be most relevant to you.
So back up a little bit, because
absolutely.
When you proposed this idea of community engagement doing a zine, one of our other colleagues was trying to explain it to me, and it was the most hilarious thing ever, because I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So how would you explain what a zine is? Because I feel like it's a newer concept, but it kind of brought me back to my childhood, because I felt like we did similar projects as children. But this is a little bit more elaborate. So how would you explain a zine?
So let me start with what zines were inspired by. And so it's short for magazine, but I named my zine Common Sense because there was a 48-page pamphlet called Common Sense that started the revolution. Like the revolution that like brought the states into being, and people voted for their separation. And so it was called common sense. And what it did was it took really dense political information that operated in certain circles, and it made it common language. And it was distributed across all the states. And so I was really inspired by how that was an example of effective communication. How do we translate things that are really inaccessible and bring them to more people so they can empower themselves forward? And so it's called common sense for that reason.
Okay.
That's really old. More recent versions of like cultural zines that I was actually inspired by in our local zine. There's a zine fair and fest going on April 13th at the Latino Center for Arts and Culture. I went to a couple different events where our zine community showed up, and they taught me how to make zines.
So a zine, does it look like a magazine? Because is it always like an 8-page or 8?
No, so I decided to make a 1-page zine, which is where you fold one page into a little booklet, but it could be almost like a small magazine. It could be published, it could be on newspaper. The cool thing about a zine is it can be anything. And it's really about it being DIY. And the most important thing is that you as the artist call it a zine. And so it's really this DIY art form of sharing information or a moment or a story about something important. And so you're highlighting that through this DIY. And they're usually handmade. Small amounts are made. It's limited edition, and it's distributed by hand. So it's really wonderful.
So you're working on a zine for Earth Month, and you are in the Office of Climate and
Climate Action and Sustainability. It's taken me a long time.
So can you talk a little bit about kind of the work that you are working on in that department and how they're potentially using art?
Absolutely, yeah. So really excited about Earth Day and Earth Month and all the great things we're going to be involved with in the coming weeks and months. One thing that I'm really excited about, so I'll back up a little bit. When I joined the office, one thing that was handed to me immediately was our Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, which was actually just recently adopted as part of the 2040 General Plan. Massive document. And so they're like, read through this, get a
As
sense.
if the general plan wasn't enough.
Right, I haven't gotten through that one. But so I read through that document to get a better sense of the work that the office is doing. And my job, I see, is kind of just being a conduit between the office and people to get at the root of it. What is sustainability? And what does it actually mean? That's something that I'm trying to help define for everyone and try to put it in people's own words. And so I'm not talking about
it in an art perspective.
Right.
So like, is there a statue that will explain it?
A statue, but I'm also really curious because I know you had alluded to a collaboration between y'all, and like with April, it's Earth Month, so I'm curious, like, what are y'all doing? For that.
Well, I asked Taner to give me some stuff to promote in the zine, but Taner has a really cool project, and I wouldn't say I'm collaborating on it. I'm going to assist because it's his project, but it's really cool, and I'm gonna let you explain it.
Sure. Yeah. So back to the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. So that's the CAP, and that's an acronym that I won't get pied in the face for because I know that one. But so as I read through that, one thing that really kind of stood out to me was there's data in there that says that by mid-century, so as early as 2035, we're going to see extreme heat days. So extreme heat being any day over 103.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes. I love it hot.
Well, I do too, but it's going to get much hotter.
That's a little spicy. I don't know.
It's
spicy.
4 days historically is what we've seen in Sacramento to 26 days by mid-century.
That's like a whole month.
That's a 550% increase in extreme heat that we're expected to see relatively soon. That's something that stuck with me as like, wow, this is something we all kind of need to know about and we all need to kind of plan for. And as an artist, I also think there's this challenge of like communicating these things that aren't in ways that are all doom and gloom, right? Because I think that's the hardest part when you approach anyone with this topic. Everyone's always kind of like, well, what is my small little thing going to do when I see large businesses contributing emissions at a grand scale that in the matter of minutes compared to my entire lifespan, they're polluting more than I am, right? So getting around that and creating a culture of sustainability is kind of more what I want to do. I'm using a lot of time to get to my project, but the project is kind of centered around that statistic. And so what I want to do is create a community painting that helps educate the people on the heat mitigating tactics we can all take to address this change. So what it's going to be, and this is going to be at the Ecos Earth Day event on April 21st on Sunday, from 11 to 4, we're going to be tabling at that event, and I'm going to be doing my art project there. And so it's just going to be this large kind of canvas that people, if you're familiar with Jackson Pollock, it's a kind of Jackson Pollock style painting where we're going to have cool colored paints available for people to use. And each cool color is going to represent a heat mitigating tactic, from large tactics to small tactics that everyone can take. So anything from using LED light bulbs as maybe a white or gray, to planting a tree, which would be a green that we'll have. People can pick their color and then add their paint to the larger canvas. The larger canvas will be in reds and yellows and oranges to represent the extreme heat that we're going to deal with. And so it's this kind of engaging, symbolic way of addressing extreme heat, but also educating ourselves on all the options available to do this.
That's the first time I've heard kind of those numbers around how many days we would have over 103 degrees. And I think when you say that, it really personalizes it, right? Because I immediately started thinking about my air conditioned bill, right?
Oh,
like,
Yes.
I like it hot, but 27 days of my house, the heat, so that is interesting. So when you start putting stuff in perspective for folks, it's like, this is going to have an impact on you and your families immediately, right?
I feel like that's the beauty of art too, in the sense that like you can immediately evoke like a connection between the people that you're trying to reach and the message that you're trying to convey. So like we can put out like 50-page documents of whatever the heck, and like there's no guarantee that people are going to read it. But if you put something like visually stimulating and thought-provoking in front of them, then people might be more perceptive to the important things that they need to know. And is it okay if you like repeat the date of when you're tabling again so that folks can come out?
That's right.
Maybe we can put it on the screen too.
Yeah, it's April 21st. It's the Ecos Earth Day event. It's the largest sustainability event in Sacramento celebrating Earth Day. It's at Southside Park from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And there's going to be a lot of, I think, other city tables as well. So a lot of folks there.
We make the joke about the pie in the face for acronyms, but if folks can't understand what we're talking about, it defeats the purpose of us talking about it. So we're joking about the pie, but it's just a way to say, like, we acknowledge that sometimes we talk in jargon that you don't know what we're talking about. And so we want to make sure that we can be relatable. So
absolutely.
Wow, even being new here in like even the last couple of months, right? How much you need to learn to understand the work that's really going on, right? I think it's wonderful. And it's how quickly you even start utilizing them in your language so that you can refer to how many things are going on in the different projects. I look forward to the project that you're doing. And I think it's a really wonderful, in contrast, talking about accessibility and disability, right? And how everything we do is to get more people involved. So it's exciting.
I'm really thankful that we had both of y'all to talk about your respective projects. I'm super excited to see them live. I love the zine. I'm also excited to see the painting. Y'all should go check it out too. But unfortunately, we are out of time for today. So thank you. Yes, thank you for vibing with us. And we hope to see y'all again next time.
Follow us on Instagram, subscribe to YouTube, and check out the CE Team page on Facebook.